right.
Just make sure
Yeah.
that everybody's signed in, please.
So everybody that's here, you need to sign in on the sign-in sheet there. Okay. All right, meeting, we'll call it to order. If there's no additions or corrections to the agenda, they will stand. And then the January 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes, if there's no additions or corrections to that, those will be on file at the clerk recorder's office, and on the website. Public comment on any agenda item. And we're pretty lax here, so you can either speak now if there's something specific, or you can wait till we're talking about the subject, and then I'll allow for input during the discussion action. Not public hearing on the modular home business floodplain permit 2025 in the Three Sisters subdivision, section 14, township 15 north, range 18 east. And I guess we'll hear from Megan, who is our floodplain administrator, to give us a lowdown. You're up.
So this is a pretty straightforward permit that we got for that property. It's the proposed work ultimately is going to be a modular home business, and there's also a gravel parking lot associated with that and a stormwater detention pond. But the only work taking place in the actual floodplain, which in this property is a zone AO of 1 foot. So that's flooding without a defined channel that's at a depth of 1 foot. The only work that they're proposing inside of that is a culvert and a gravel driveway off of Highway 87. So the culvert was designed to convey the depth of the flooding. And then I also had as a condition of their permit that they keep the gravel driveway as close to the existing grade as possible so that there isn't any impeding of the flooding. So overall, I think it's a pretty minimal to low to no risk in affecting the floodplain or any of the adjacent properties. So I recommend approving it just with that condition that the gravel driveway is kept close to existing grade. And I included that on the findings of fact and the permit that I submitted to the county. So
Is there any definition of close to as possible? I mean, is there a plus or minus couple of inches? Or what does that mean
On the approach.
on the grade of the gravel road?
So I guess we could put something in there that we want to keep it within a certain level of the existing grade. I think their intention is not to raise that grade any more than it is, but they're just essentially going to put the culvert in, smooth it over, and then just grade that back as closely and as quickly as possible back to the culvert. So that's something I would be looking
So if you
for.
said within 2 inches, you'd be happy of that, and they'd be okay.
Yeah,
You think?
I mean, it's more of a, a visual thing. When you go on site, you want to see that there's nothing crazy, no fill or anything put in there.
Yeah, I just don't want there to be something come up down the road that, people didn't understand what that meant.
Right. So we could make that a little bit more specific in the permit if you wanted. But
Anybody here that's doing the project?
I don't know. I let the engineers and the landowner and his assistants know.
Yeah, I just don't want us to, I don't want to put 2 inches on there if that's gonna end up being something that catches them up, but I don't want to say it's the same appreciably and then somebody think that means within half an inch.
mhm.
So I just want to get the gist from you. As long as it's pretty close, you're all right, and a few inches is pretty close.
Yeah, and if we wanted to, I could reach out to the engineer and just double check that if there was an exact plan for that grading, but
Yeah, I'd like to put a number of kind of maximum of whatever lift, like if it exceeds the current grade, what amount of, how much can we exceed that and not become an issue? I guess that's what I'm,
Right.
just so that they know and, you know,
Yeah.
some flexibility.
Right. And I guess if we looked at the regulations, FEMA for flood zones that don't have detailed studies, they don't allow a rise of over half a foot. So, I mean, I feel like half a foot is kind of generous in this case, but
Okay, so we kind of know anyway the realm we're in, so we put in
Mhm.
there, we'd like them to be within maybe 2 or 3 inches, but as close to grade as possible. That, I just don't want it to all of a sudden be an issue where they put it all in and then we go, holy cow, that's, you know, too much.
gotcha. Yep, that makes sense.
Okay,
Russ Harley has a, Harley.
what's that? Okay, go ahead, Harley, you got a
Okay,
question?
you're talking 2 or 3 inches of grade, is that on the approach? And what size culvert are they gonna use on that?
They've got it's big enough to handle the flood, the water flow.
Megan,
Right.
do you know what size culvert that is?
Uh, I'd have to pull open the plans real quick, but I can do that and look. I think it's a 18 inch if I'm remembering correctly, but
I think it's handling the flow within the borrow pit, not the entire flood.
Yeah,
Possibly.
all I'm interested in is that it doesn't back it up and then cross the highway and cause an accident because of flooding.
Well, that's the whole point of the road is not supposed, that's why, you know, the road is supposed to stay at grade, because the whole concept is it doesn't really rise more than maybe a foot when it's flooding, but it spreads out that whole area. So we don't want to back anything up, which is why we're trying to get a number
I
on.
still don't think it's too small.
Well, they did an engineering on it, so if they're comfortable with it.
It says at the top.
I think the idea is that if it gets high, it runs over their approach. And the approach is
Yeah.
lower than the highway.
2 or 3 inches, you back up a bunch of water, and the next thing you know, it's either washing that approach or it's well over the highway.
Well, that's the idea, is it's gonna if it's gonna wash anything, it's gonna wash the gravel road, that's the intent. Cause we're not trying to squeeze it all down through a culvert,
So how wide is this approach?
and it's gonna be sure it's a 60-footer, just like most highway approaches.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to read this.
It would be a clear across the right of way, our right of way from the highway, so 60 feet.
Through 18 inches. I don't see necessarily the width of the approach, I see 6, unless that's the 60-foot there.
Right above the blue.
Yeah, right above the road, it says 60-foot, so I assume it's a 60-foot. But I don't know if that's what it is, that might be an elevation mark too, so I don't know. Yeah, so it's actually, but it is 2 18-inch culverts, not one.
Okay.
I think that the approach is 60-foot. I think it's a 60-foot approach. Okay, any other questions? All right, if there's no more, we'll close the public hearing on the floodplain permit. We don't have any bid openings, personnel announcements. We're still looking for a planner and a sanitarian. Announcements and reports. So road viewers report will be the first up. You want to handle that, Steve?
Sure. So we had a request to go out and take a look at the main Cooley Road, from what I understand. What you could find in the cans was a fairly short section of road that we originally applied for. About a mile section that's under the original petition. The petitioner is requesting to be extended to go further. Currently, the county treats about 4.5 miles of it already is county road and we gravel and plow it. This petition would add another 1.39 miles to the end of that, taking it to a section of state land at the far end where a turnaround will be put in for the county road crews to be able to get their equipment there and then turn back around. And then we'll provide access to state land that exists right there for those that utilize the state lands. So after viewing it and driving it and taking a look at that, and then the new culvert that's been put in at a certain section there, it's a recommendation of the Road Users Committee that the county commissioners go ahead and accept that as a county road for a complete distance of 5.49 miles.
Okay. Well, we can discuss it when it comes to. We have this, no, it isn't yet on there for
It's
us.
just a report.
Just a report, okay. So it'd be appropriate if somebody wants to comment on Main Cooley Road and the road viewers report. Anybody like to start? I assume that's why you guys are in?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Can you state your name, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Scott Stewart.
Scott Stewart?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of Dean Stopper, he owns property at the end of it. It opens up public land for more people to access and he's all about it.
Okay.
He thinks it's a good idea.
I tried to contact him, but nobody would give me his
I guess
numbers.
he didn't get back to you.
Oh.
Okay,
Sorry.
he's tough to get a hold of.
Yeah.
He is. I will talk to him about that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a good deal. A lot of people access it for hunting and I think it's good for the public.
All right, any other comments?
I meant so. Pretty much we can do it is an excess in and out to the state right now.
Say
I
that
don't know
again.
what it is an access to the state in and out to that. I don't know what the access is called. The
Well,
road
it's
that-
not, yeah, I mean, everybody's getting to it, right? There's a
Yeah,
road there.
yeah,
but it's-
what's the access?
Well, there's not one, right? Right now, that's not a county road.
So
The official county road, if you look, ended. Let's see.
Well, our road maintenance ended at that,
In your packet.
It's in my packet. I don't have to look at anything.
yeah. It ended at the
I like mine better because it's marked up.
line of section 6.
Yeah, so this doesn't actually have marked off. So if you actually look at Petition Road, it goes all the way from the highway and it's Plum Creek, but it's petitions like the start of Plum Creek all the way up and takes the first corner.
It shows the petition on your big drawing.
So you hit, what's that?
Nothing.
It shows where the petition ends.
Yeah, but you don't actually have everything marked that's actually. Oh, first petition, there you go, okay. So, I know what it is because I highlighted it. Anyway, so, you get up there and so if you've got this map, it'll show you where it's marked, first petition. So it's kind of just that straight section on the dividing line between section 16 and 17, about halfway through 17. Going west and it stops. That's the end of the actual petition road. Now we maintained it up to where it shows road maintenance, which is another, 2 miles or so. And that's where we kind of got into this discussion because, when John looked at it, he's like, I think the road stops. I think the petition road ends there. So you guys went ahead and put a culvert in just past that. And then we started looking at it and went, well, yeah, it's clear down here. And the question was, should you guys be paying for this culvert or should the county pay for it? What does that look like? So that's what brought this along, is to say, what's the value to the general public? So we're really adding whatever that is, like 4.5 miles by the time you actually go from what's petitioned to where we're ending. However, the argument is easily made that we've been spending county resources on this for a very long time, at least to that point. Just
On that corner there.
Well-
where it stops above the where before it drops into where the culvert's at. that looked to be where we had certainly done work. Now, like John had come in, he'd come in and said, they'd gravelled even past that up to the, kind of the,
It's up to
Mark,
that
guys, up to that corner.
corner, yeah.
Yep, up to that corner. And so we looked at that and said, yeah, it looks, there's been some stuff done there. And so, we also have to take that into consideration when we're saying, okay, we're gonna add all this. What is the value to everybody as a whole? And certainly you guys, everybody's already kind of accessing the state land there, but it's not actually a legal access. And so I think that's where everybody looked at it and said, this kind of is good for everybody. It justifies adding those miles on and making sure everybody's got their space. The one thing is it doesn't appear, I'm gonna say I'm pretty comfortable that the county did not buy an easement through that state section of land, because I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, probably 15 years ago, the DNRC came out, it was a court ruled that anybody driving across state land had to pay for that easement because it's for schools and the schools get all the money, right? So the county had to go and buy all these easements. So if we didn't buy an easement, then, we didn't. And so for us, that is the most sensible place to stop, because we don't want to have to go buy an easement through that corner. So that's kind of why we decided stopping at the border of the state land made the most sense. Even though it's in the middle of the field. It's kind of like an odd spot to stop, but
Oh, you're not going to the gate. Yeah, you're going.
no, we're just to the edge of the state land. Because otherwise, if we go to the gate, then we gotta pay for the easement. Now, I don't know what Stauffer's got. That's partly what I was gonna ask him. Like,
Well, and I think
do you have an easement? I mean, how does that work? Because we don't, best I can tell, we don't have an easement through the state land.
I think the state just barely touches the corner of it.
Well, the road actually runs right through some of the state, it goes across the road a little bit.
Mhm.
You probably got that piece up. Your other one book there.
Yeah,
Shows.
yeah, it's, we cut through the corner of it.
Because
Or the
not
road,
much,
the
maybe-
existing
maybe
road
15
as it sits, cuts
maybe
through the corner of the
15
state.
inches. Yeah, they goes right through her. But that's.
A turnaround would be good just past it. It would be.
Yeah,
I mean, it's more flatter. on the
That's
other
where
side.
the county's gonna stop. That's where they're.
Well,
Then you have to
One
buy
stop
diesel
right
crew.
but then we gotta buy an easement.
Okay.
Now,
We have to buy these.
if somebody has an easement, I don't know how that works.
So
If you can
basically,
transfer the easement to
they
the
would
public
have
or
to
something,
access
I don't know if that's
the
allowable.
Then they would have.
But if there's something, I mean, but that's kind of our hangup, is we don't wanna go back through that process of buying an easement from the state. So,
So you're planning on just going to the state.
Going to the state. put a little end of county road sign. Our hope is to maybe make the road a little wider there, just kind of so that people could pull off and not block everybody's, block the road. But that's gonna be a consideration of the landowner, whether they're willing to let us kind of build out. It's a 60-foot road easement. And so there's theoretically, you got a 20-foot top, so you've got some space on each side to add a little bit. But if you can have any sort of borrow pit, it starts kind of pushing into the landowner's field. So, that's something we're gonna have a, discussion. Probably John at the road department talking to you, because it's your guys'
Yeah.
field. And so it kind of depends on how willing you are to allow us a little bit of wiggle room to make space. Because what's gonna happen is if we put the sign up, unless farther down you say, please just go park down here out of the way or something, people are gonna park there.
Well, they've parked right off the road, which they had.
Yeah.
Whoever would park back there. And I don't know how they got there, there was no easement to get to it,
Well, right, that's the point. That's why we have this discussion, because now that if we officially make this a county road, they have access to the state land. But that's kind of our incentive. It's kind of why we justify then paying to maintain the big coulee there, whatever.
Was telling people.
what do you
There's
do?
access, one of the game wardens told Brian that there's access. Because Brian was saying there's people back here hunting and they're not supposed to be there, and he said.
Is there any record from where the road basically did stop for county road? what that road is called to get in there? Is there
It's called Mean Coulee Road, right? I
I
mean,
mean, the driveway,
the driveway
up
going,
on past that corner.
going on to, well,
Yeah.
here, let's, just so I know we're talking about the same thing. Right, so. You know, here's Plum Creek and then it turns to Mean Coulee and goes up here. This is the end of the actual petition road.
Okay.
This goes up to kind of where we've done most of the maintenance, stop there. And then right here is kind of the secondary where we've done some stuff.
Yeah,
But all of this is called Mean Coulee.
yeah. Up here, we're just wondering, this was always a driveway when the road ended here. And
Right.
this was, we were just wondering who has this easement from the end to here, but then I guess it would be who had the easement from down here. But actually up here was always a driveway, so that turned into a 2-track dirt road.
Right, well, yeah, because when we went up there, you could see there was, even looked like maybe there'd been a sign there at some point, because
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it actually a T?
There was
Like the
a
dirt
sign.
road goes both ways,
Well,
it's just
no,
going across here.
Not really, it kind of goes just
Oh,
into
okay.
a field up here. But yeah, it's, and then there was always a lot of turnarounds. There was a sign there that said into county road.
Okay,
It
yeah,
Used to be. And then he gravelled it, Dean stuff for gravel.
Right.
this. And, but. we
So-
were just
so there's
wondering
the
if
question.
Stone had an
does,
easement from
does
here.
Stone have an easement? I don't know, I mean, it should be listed on the deeds and all of that, you know, not,
Yeah.
not
Stone,
to.
Stone had to put that easement or somehow created the easement.
Yeah. but
It
we're
should be
going
right
back to-
someplace.
Back to Jerry Jones.
Either that or they, I mean, I can't imagine Stone own that without an easement to his property, right? I'm just guessing
Not
that
him.
he's got one, so,
Yeah, he bought
but
it
it's-
from Jerry Jimerson.
okay, so I'm sure it's a private easement is what it
Yeah.
is. It still doesn't allow everybody to use it, it's an easement for whoever owns that property to get from here to their place. So it's not public access, right? And what we're doing now is it's kind of legally be public access to the public land.
And that's why you would take it over.
That's why we do it, because it
Yeah.
kind of justified, because, you know, like I said, now. You guys could definitely make an argument that, at least to this point. This one's a little, you can see maybe there's been some, but most of the work has been this section. Previous, but this is the end of the petition road, clear down here. So, you know, this is another. What do we say, 3 miles to here, between here and here is 3 miles. And then we're at another 1.39 to there.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so this,
I
this,
always thought it was up in here, it's
yeah,
down there.
no, this is the actual end of the petition road. It was just this little like 1.5 miles off of Plum Creek.
Oh,
And that was the end of the petition road.
That's what's next ground,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that corner.
yeah, in this corner right here.
That's-
So this is the old pasture. here.
Yes, that's a hill pasture, all right,
I'll be done.
so.
So who knows exactly? I mean, it'd be,
Looks like it'd be to all our benefit to make a county road.
yeah, I mean, that. I mean, if people don't actually have easements through there, and the thing is that this would be very, if we just came out today and said, nope, this is the end of it, but. Well, you'd have a hell of a case, because we've been using everybody's dollars to maintain. At least to this point, and there's some, you know, there's some argument that was gone even to this
Yeah,
point.
correct.
But I think from our perspective is if you're gonna put all that in to add that little bit more to get to the state land and kind of says, okay, now it's really all the public's benefiting and it's worth it. But that's the understanding. I mean, now there's legal access to that little chunk of public. I don't know how much anybody hunts that. There's a little.
They've been using it for quite a while.
Oh, no, they use it quite a bit.
So.
It opens up a lot of road hunting.
Yeah. Well, and I,
That's our only complaint is, you know, they're driving out
they're going all the way
in the
and,
dark. Yeah, in the morning and then in the dark at night, and it's like, you're road hunting, you're not walking in the state.
yeah. Well, and when I looked at that, it's not like there's an easy gate to put up there because you're in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, the next gate is Stoffers, that's it.
Well, the only way it gets up is go to this corner,
Right.
right there.
Well, yeah.
I
However,
don't know, I mean, it's just
Well, then I realize that. but
we're trying to justify
I
adding
know,
4 miles of maintenance, so it makes it easier, but I don't wanna. I mean, you guys can certainly voice your opinion about it, but it makes it, makes it easier on the side of spending county dollars because everybody gets a shot at getting there, so.
And it's not that they have. he's in the middle of it. No, me, no.
Okay, he likes it. He wants your county.
That's what, I talked with him this morning and said it'd be a great deal. When I told him we're gonna go to the gates, it's just a thought of now, but it ain't.
Yeah.
Until this-
Well, and like I said, that would make the most sense. It'd be the easiest to turn around and all that. It's just, we don't wanna have to go deal with the state land,
I see.
so.
If it is county, that will keep the people on the road. And not just get to that point and drive anywhere they want to get over to the state line.
Well, it's in the middle of a wheat field.
Oh,
So I'm sure once it's stubble,
They'll still go.
Oh, yeah,
They behave themselves that way.
I, you know, I,
Leave them. I haven't seen people out driving.
yeah, and we could, and that might be part of it as an educational part, that end of county road, please
might be,
park at this point,
yeah.
walk,
Yeah.
you know,
It would give them a more, this is what it is, because
right,
a lot of people start basically where that turns, they think it's on state land.
right,
You know, so if you have a place and this is the state land,
Mhm.
it probably would keep things more, you know, and then they drive up that road and can shoot here in the field from the county's road. or whatever.
right, right,
Yeah, and that'll kind of stop that.
yeah.
it'll be more control.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And you aren't gonna stop people from driving around the county road anyway.
No,
It doesn't matter what time of day or night, you're gonna go out and say, hey, get off my county road.
there's always road horse, you know that.
Yeah.
The turnaround would be better by stopping at the gate. I know what you're saying, but
I'd have to
What-
put an easement through there.
Well,
Yeah.
and here would be the thing is, I mean,
without disturbing any more.
if you can,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
you know, if you can figure out if there is some easement, if somebody has an easement through there. I have to think the stone would, I can't imagine the stone,
I
Yeah.
think, not to interrupt her, but I think Dean does have whatever that road is called to drive in.
okay.
There is.
So,
it's
so
either,
we'd probably be open to some discussion, just because the turnaround and things would be easier. If we were able to get, you know, if there was an easement that could be utilized as, you know, in this petition or the resolution.
Could it be like an all-purpose access or?
Well, it just-
Being they're using it,
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't wanna open, you know, you don't wanna, you don't wanna start things you don't need to start. I'm just telling you that everybody that's crossing state land is supposed to have an easement. And they have to pay for it. So, you know, if Dean already has that and it's depending on how that's written, if he's able to transfer that to county. Right? So his easement is what's utilized in it. I'm not sure what that looks like. We'd be open, I think, to saying, you know, because it is a better turn if you can go out to where you get past the field. And say, okay, here's the turnaround spot, just work with you guys out there. We'd be open to that. We just, at the point you got to that corner, to not go the little bit to the state land. Made it a little hard to not make that a determinants. So, I don't know, Scott, if you wanna talk to him and see if there's,
I gave him your information. I'm surprised he didn't get back.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not. But he is tough to get a hold of. Stuff.
yeah,
I will see what he asked for easement. I'm sure he had. to
There's
have
gotta
an
be
easement
something.
yeah,
for Jackstone. There had to have been something at some point in time there.
yeah, I mean, that would be my assumption, so. I don't know, and then, you know, whether it's
Usually lawyers
transferable
are
or,
good Easements.
Well, when I visited with Dean here before that, he said he's got it in writing. He had to get out of here, he had to get going.
yeah.
That's how we
If I
need.
could get a copy of it and give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, just to see what that looks like, it might require him transferring, if it's possible, the easement to us or something, or, you know, make it county, or I don't know. And those will be attorney questions probably, but, you know, and I don't wanna speak out of turn on it, but I mean, I don't, it's not gonna be that much of a bigger deal to add that much more. Yeah, I mean, our only justification for going from the corner to this piece of state land is taking that little step makes it a lot more palatable for the rest of the taxpayers to say, okay, we're adding some road, but now there's a spot. I don't know. But that's always, you know, if the landowners are okay with it, you're saying, you know, we're not too worried about, you know, the hunter. I know that the folks that like to be able to access some hunting ground, love it, so. Okay, is there any other, we're just doing a hearing on it, so any other comments, questions? Yes.
No, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure our meeting doesn't get cut off. No.
John, you wanna add anything?
I can. Yeah, well, we'll bring it back up for the passing of the resolution, but we might wait a little bit and see if we can
Until
get
we get a
some,
little more information.
more information, and then we might just do another kind of discussion about extension a little bit, if it's possible to get to that more logical turnaround spot. Doesn't necessarily have to, I'm trying to remember kind of what it looks like, but once you get past the field, there's opportunities. You don't even necessarily have to go all the way to the gate, but there's opportunity in there.
It's
So,
definitely flatter, I mean. it would be
yeah,
Cheaper to go past. but-
yeah.
And it wouldn't be that much farther
No, it's,
where you wanna stop it.
Yeah,
Across that corner.
yeah, the gate's not, I mean, even all the way to the gate's not too awful far, but just getting out of the field is, whatever.
Well, I honestly think they go back there and turn around, yeah, and come back.
I'm probably.
It's just,
Okay, well. If there's no other, just, if you get a hold of me on that, if you figure that part out, no, we can check, but we just did a quick search, we couldn't find, it didn't look like we have an easement in that. On the state lands. All right. We don't have any other comments during the hearing, then we'll move on. Discussion action items, January 10th, 2025 claims, would be your pleasure?
Move to approve.
And moved
Second.
and seconded, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.